Hello and welcome to the mains PYQ discussion by Neenv. We have a question from 2017, a 15 marker. Examine how the decline of traditional artisan industry in colonial India crippled the rural economy. So it's about traditional artisan industry, its decline in colonial India, and how it crippled the rural economy. So this question demands some kind of an analysis. In the introduction, we'll talk about the legacy of Indian crafts. So that's something that was of high demand outside India. And the mode of patronage. So all these artisans, the money for them came from patronage. That is patronage from kings, zamindars, local chieftains. They give the money, they give the product, and then it gets exported, used in the country. And now that's how the system functions. This entire system got disrupted with colonization. That's what we'll explore in this part here. So the body will be named as Decline of Artisan Industry and Crippling of Rural Economy. Everything in the context of colonization. First is lack of agrarian surplus. With British revenue settlement policy, the revenue rate was kept so high, for example in permanent settlement. When the rate is so high, whatever is getting produced from the field goes to the revenue. You don't have any surplus to be there to be funded for the artisans. That's the first point. Lack of agrarian surplus. Second, lack of patronage. Why? Because the princely states in India are fighting wars. Once they fight the war, either they accept the subsidiary alliance, where they also have to pay revenue. They have to pay for the British forces. And the bulk of the Indian revenues go into the British coffers. And no patronage exists due to the decline of Indian princely states. Next is diversion of labor. The labor that was there in food crops or agrarian surplus or in the artisan group, they are of high demand when it comes to cash crops like indigo and opium. Opium is needed for triangular trade with China. Indigo is needed for industrial revolution in Britain. Then export of raw materials. So India was an exporter of finished products. When colonization came, we were an exporter of raw materials. So hand-woven Indian products became of less demand. Because we were exporting raw materials, they were making machine-made items from that and they were publicizing it and selling it. So India became an exporter, mere exporter of raw materials with colonization. Then importer of finished goods. Here what happens? Indian goods have to fight with machine-made cheap goods coming from Europe. Then recurrent famines is another reason. From 1770s, you can see that because of famines, you don't even have food. So how are you going to create stuff? Destruction of domestic market. With all these reasons, the domestic market will get destroyed. Once the domestic market doesn't exist, you cannot build only for exports. You need a robust domestic market to keep things going, and that gets destroyed. Then gradual diminishing of skills will also happen because these are skills that have been imbibed over generations and they gets active when it keeps on going like that. When it gets disrupted, the diminishing of skills takes place. Next step is disruption of caste-based occupational order. So this is a point that can be seen in the positive and negative light. When British came, they tried to implement social reform measures. The caste order is getting diluted. Now, one of the reasons why we have occupational classes in India is also because of caste system. So when this order gets disrupted, it affects the system as well. Finally, decline in social status of artisans and subsequent migration. So these people who enjoyed high position, high patronage, their social position is getting lowered. So naturally, they'll migrate. The people's interest in this domain will also get minimized. So that is also happening. We'll conclude this with the keyword of systematic deindustrialization, which later led to the issue of missing middle. That is, there is a lack of middle, that is manufacturing sector in India right now. It was either agrarian, then it is service driven. This sector is destroyed as a process of systematic deindustrialization during the colonial times. And all these reasons can be considered as contributory factors to that. So that is this question all about. We have concluded that with proper analytical points. So that's it. Thank you for listening.